Building a successful SMMA in 2025 is completely different from what it was a couple years ago. The business model itself is valid as ever, but the optimal approach to getting clients and delivering a service for them has changed. I'm Alex. I've built my own SMMA to $125,000 a month. I started in the SMMA craze when everyone was doing it back in 2022. I've gone through all the stages. I've scaled it then, I've scaled it now, so I know what the differences are, and I'll tell you about those today. And of course, some things are still the same, so we'll keep those. I don't want to be telling you that everything is completely different, like nothing applies, but there are some core differences. And the first and main core difference is your overall approach to scaling an agency. Everyone focuses on acquisition. I promise you that if you go on YouTube right now and you search up SMMA scaling or how to build an SMMA, 90% of the videos and 90% of the content in those videos is about acquisition, how to get more clients, how to do cold outreach, how to handle objections, how to book more sales calls, all of that stuff, but nobody talks about service delivery. And an agency has switched from being an acquisition game where the goal is to just get as many clients as possible, churn and burn them. So you get them, you have them for 2-3 months, they churn, you just keep replacing those clients, to a more long-term game where service delivery is in focus. Because if you have the best results in the game, the best results in your market, you will never struggle with getting clients because you will have amazing case studies to show to. You will never struggle with keeping clients because who wants to end their partnership with an agency that's earning them a shit ton of money? And you will get more referrals than you know what to do with, because business owners always know other business owners in their sphere. So it's the biggest domino. If you've heard about this big domino idea, that if you knock it over, everything else in your agency will solve itself. So you need this fundamental mindset shift, and going from focusing on acquisition 90% of your time to focusing on the service delivery with the same intensity. But before we get into that, let's actually talk about acquisition, because you still need to reach out to clients somehow, even if you have amazing service delivery. And the old way is, of course, cold outreach, the stuff everyone did and is still doing, sending cold emails, cold calling, cold DMs, like, I don't know, cold physical mail, I've heard some people do. And the reason those don't work anymore is because everyone is doing it. It's the core problem here. Those people get spammed down with cold emails and cold calls every single day, especially if you're in a more competitive niche like targeting eCom brands, or maybe, like beauty clinics, stuff like that, stuff that everybody else does. There is just no way for you to break through all that noise and be the one they actually end up signing a deal with if you don't have a very unique approach, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. Also, when you sign clients through cold outreach, there are more negatives. First of all, those clients are cold, so they are much less lenient. They don't actually trust you. They have to go through this process of rationalizing this decision in their mind and actually finding reasons to work with you, because they fundamentally don't trust you. So the first time you fuck up, you trust me, they will leave you and find another agency. They won't give you a second chance. They are much more demanding because, again, you are just a service provider that found them cold. So they will ask more of you. They will expect more of you. They usually pay less because, again, there is no trust there. They're not going to be willing to risk like a couple $1,000s a month. They will try to get the price down as low as possible, and they just churn more often, which feeds into the problem I explained earlier with having to constantly replace clients. So what's the better way to sign clients? Well, through a authority acquisition machine. And let me explain what that is. It's basically a personal brand where you find those business owners, you contact them, you connect with them, you post content to nurture them, and then you have webinars once a month to actually convert them into paying clients for your agency. And the beauty with this model is that you're not selling anything to anyone. You're just giving them value. And whenever they are ready, they are going to reach out to you and book in a call and actually become a client. And the beauty with that is that you're never actually burning any leads, because when they're ready, they will reach out. If they're not ready, they won't. It's as simple as that. When they actually end up becoming clients, they are much more lenient because they have seen what you're capable of through your content. They know you are knowledgeable. That's why they reached out to you. They will give you a second chance if you mess up, and if you handle it correctly. They pay you more because, again, they reach out to you. You are the exclusive service here, not the other way around. So it's not you reaching out to them asking them for a favor. They are reaching out to you asking you for a favor. So the power dynamic is completely different and in your favor. But of course, building this personal brand takes time. I've built mine on LinkedIn. So I was posting on LinkedIn daily for about 3 months before I began seeing any form of traction with, my relevant business owners commenting on those posts and actually beginning to reach out and ask questions. So it's not something you can begin posting today and see results tomorrow. It will take a couple of months. But before we move on to the, immediate response acquisition, I want to touch on a bit about my strategy on LinkedIn, how I actually do it. So Monday to Friday, you post every single day. And the reason I use LinkedIn, by the way, is because it's such a blue ocean. Basically, no agency owners do it. Everyone is posting on Instagram. Everyone is posting on YouTube, where we're at right now. A lot of people have newsletters, like email newsletters, but very, very few people post on LinkedIn. And don't underestimate the platform. Yes, it may look like a boomer platform where it's like a cycle jerk type thing where everyone is just being nice to everyone without actually caring. It is kind of like that, but we don't care because we get clients from there. Our ICP is hanging out on LinkedIn, and most likely yours is as well. So go there. Be the dominant voice in your industry, and you will get all the clients. You don't have to compete with 50 other agencies fighting for that person's attention. So the strategy is Monday to Friday. You post every single day. We have an interesting content split because you don't want to just post about whatever is on your mind that day. You want to build a proper funnel out of your content. So on Monday, we have a personal story where you tell something interesting about how you've scaled the agency, how many clients you've worked with, a very top of funnel type post that usually gets 5 times more impressions than all the other ones. It does get to less quality traffic. So those 5 times of those impressions, a smaller percentage of those are actually qualified people, but it does reach a bigger audience. So the total volume of qualified people is higher. So the idea with this post is to simply get people to see you and follow you. You don't want to actually talk much about paid ads or give any value because that's technical. People respond less to that. With the first post every week, you just want to get out to as many people as possible. Then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you post value. So something related to meta ads. Maybe you found a new way to run ads, or the new, Meta Andromeda update. You give away as much value as possible. Don't hold anything back, because the beauty is that people are lazy. So they're not actually going to do the implementation themselves. They are going to read the post. They're going to see how knowledgeable you are. They're going to build trust by getting all this value, but they're not actually going to implement it. So they read it throughout the week, they get value, and on Friday you do a giveaway. So a post where you have some kind of resource that you ask people to comment to receive. So it can be, a library of all the audits you've done for other clients in the last year. For example, that's one of our winning lead magnets. You post that, you write out the post explaining exactly what the value is going to be, and at the end you have a CTA, which is comment the word giveaway to receive it. People comment it, you send it to their DMs, and you respond to their comment with sent or check if you received it, stuff like that. That way you double the amount of comments, and the more comments you have, the more people LinkedIn will push this giveaway out to. And the cool thing is that only really relevant people who will comment, because if you're not interested in paid ads, if you're not in the eCom space, for example, if it's a eCom oriented lead magnet, people aren't going to comment. Only the people interested in that thing is going to comment. So the way you do it then is you send that lead magnet. A couple days later, you can follow up saying, hey, did you get any value? Just try to hold a conversation. Don't try to convert everyone immediately. Don't send like a calendar link in the first message. Just have a nice friendly chat saying, hey, did you check out the lead magnet? Any questions? Sometimes they have questions. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they leave you on red. But the point is that you want to just nurture those relationships. So you post with the sequence every single week, 5 times a week. And then when you have a couple thousand followers, let's say 1.7 to 2,000 followers, you begin hosting webinars. So that was huge for us. We were posting content on LinkedIn for a while, but we didn't actually do the webinars until fairly recently. And that's where we saw the actual conversions coming in. So you host a simple webinar. It's an hour. It's live. It's hosted on LinkedIn. We use Restream as a software to actually host it there. You give it a nice banner. You make a presentation, again, giving away a ton of value. And that presentation should be oriented around the time of year or something relevant that's happening right now. So our last webinar was oriented at Q4, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all of these sales periods, because it was a very relevant topic and people burned to make Black Friday as profitable as possible for themselves. So they're much more likely to actually join that webinar versus if it's just a, general topic they can learn about anytime. Right now it's December. I would probably do a webinar like something related to preparing for 2026, how to create a content strategy for 2026, just a topic that your ICP is interested in and is interested in learning about. You make a presentation, about 40 minutes, walking through the value you have to actually share with those people. You don't hold anything back, because don't be afraid of sharing too much. People won't be implementing it anyways, but it will give you a massive boost in trust and like relatability. So give away a ton of value in those 40 minutes. And then towards the end, you have a Q&A. So about 10 minutes where people can drop questions in the chat. They will usually want something from the actual presentation clarified, or they have some like unique edge case scenarios. You answer those as good as you can. And then at the end, you make people an offer. So very simple offer, very soft. It can be a set package, like a content package. You sell them as an entry into their business, or you can just ask them to book a call with you, saying like, hey, if you guys are interested in getting an agency to manage your ads, here are some of our results. Book in a call. We can discuss it. Very soft. I really, really hate hard CTAs where you force something down people's throats. I like to be very chill with it, saying, hey, do you want to book a call? If yes, here's the link. If no, I don't really care. It's the approach I have for my YouTube channel here. It's the approach I have for my agency. It's worked well for me. So have a soft CTA, ask people to book it. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Some people will. You'll jump on calls with them, and these will be the easiest leads to close ever, because they have consumed a ton of your content. They have watched you speak live for an hour, writing down notes, taking all the value you have to give. So you can expect like a 30 to 40% close rate from those leads, if not higher. Ours could be higher. It's at about 30% now. We just reject more people than we actually accept, because we are becoming very picky on who we work with in my own agency. That's like a good problem to have with time. We didn't have it in the beginning, but point is, those are very warm leads. If they end up booking, they are usually ready to buy. And yeah, you don't have to worry about all of this, objection handling bullshit, stuff like that. And that kind of ties up this entire topic of acquisition, how you should be approaching acquisition. I hope the way I explain it makes you understand how important it actually is to have a authority-based system in place in 2025 going into 2026, and not just relying on cold outreach, because first of all, it doesn't really work well. And second of all, even if it does work and you get clients, they will be pretty shitty clients. So try this model. I promise you, you will be happy with the results. Then we need to get clients immediately, right? So we have this personal brand, we're building it, we're posting 5 times a week, but we need clients yesterday, not in 3 months. So how do we do it? Well, we take the cold outreach strategy and we give it a twist. And the twist is looms. So you send personalized loom videos by email. And the beauty with the strategy is that you're not spamming, tens of thousands of people a month. You are sending 30 very personalized, very specific looms a day. You're not sending thousands, you're sending just 30 looms a day. People are so used to this spam of emails they're receiving every single day that when you actually send them some value without expecting anything in return, it's such a breath of fresh air for people that they're much more likely to actually book a call with you. So the way it works is that you source 30 of the most relevant leads you find. So since we are limited in how many of those we can send per day, we want to send them to the most relevant people possible. So you source 30 of those. You sit down in the morning, first thing in the morning, because it is painful. You're not probably going to like recording those videos. It is pretty monotonous, but it does make you a lot of money, so bear with me here. So you sit down early in the morning, you go through that lead list, and you open their website, you open their Facebook ads library, and you just give them value. You start by saying, hey, Alex here. I was just browsing around, found your website, thought it looked cool. I have some ideas for your ads, thought I'd share them. Then you go through their Facebook ads library and you just give them feedback. There's always something to give feedback on. It can be the amount of creatives they're using, like the creative diversity. It could be like some technical settings they are using. It could be that their copy is weak. They don't have a CTA. Their colors are blending in with the background of meta. There are like hundreds of different things you can comment on. There's always something to improve in the ads. So about 2 minutes of you just giving value. So 30 seconds in the beginning, just a quick intro, then 2 minutes of giving value. And the last 30 seconds are a very, again, soft CTA. So you say, I have tons of ideas here. I can talk about this for hours. If you want, we can jump on a quick call and I'll explain more. If not, no worries. Have a great day. That's it. You don't push them to click the link, calendar link below right now and book a call. You just give them a soft CTA, and it actually gives you a higher booking rate than pushing people to do things, because people are so tired of being pushed to do things. So when you actually give them the decision to book the call, you make it clear that if you book or if you don't, I don't really care. It's up to you. Again, it flips the dynamic. It feels like they are making the decision and they are kind of deciding to book with you and not just booking because you're calling them and trying to force them on that call. People will really appreciate that. I had about a 3% appointment booking rate from those calls. So sending 30 looms a day, I was booking about 1 call a day. And again, those calls are much warmer than the normal cold outreach calls. So you can expect that 25 to 30% close rate from those calls. So about 25 calls a month if we exclude weekends. You shouldn't really be sending those videos on weekends because people don't check their emails. 25 calls a month, about a 25-30% close rate, 5 new clients a month. If in the beginning you're charging fairly low prices, let's say 2K a month, that's already 10K in a single month. That's how I scaled my own agency from 0 to 10K a month. So it's a no-brainer system. It's not very scalable. It's not very fun to do, but it's the best way to sign clients in the beginning to get yourself to that 20, 30, 40K a month mark. And then the personal brand will begin kicking in and you will have people coming inbound. Then you can slowly scale down the looms and stop doing them. So I'm not doing any looms right now because we are getting more than enough lead flow from our personal brands, but it was our core strategy to get to 50K a month. So I hope that covers it. I hope that explains how I approach acquisition and how you should approach acquisition in 2025 going into 2026. If you want help with any of this, with scaling your agency, as I said, I've scaled my own agency to 125K a month in fairly short timelines. We scaled from 0 to 10K a month in 4 months, 10 to 50K a month in 5 months, and then to 100K a month in under a year. So if you want help with this, reach out to me on Instagram. I am offering this one-on-one thing where I work with agency owners to scale them. You will have complete access to me on WhatsApp and to my Calendly to book calls whenever you need with me. You'll have access to all my systems, blah, blah, blah. If you're interested, reach out. If not, I don't care. See what I did there? Let's keep rolling. Service delivery. So we've talked about acquisition, how you should assign clients. Now let's talk about the truly important part, delivering for those clients, making sure that they're happy, making sure that they stay for a long time, making sure that they refer you more clients. And let me tell you a quick story from my own agency. So We signed this one client back in March of this year. So it's 8 something months now. And since then, he has paid us just over $100,000 in total. So $100K from a single client. Now imagine if we had a problem with churn. Let's say he churned in May or June after only being with us for 2 to 3 months. We would have lost out on like $70,000 just because we were not able to keep him and because our service delivery wasn't up to par. And to replace those $70,000, we would have probably had to close, 5 new clients. So imagine the strain that puts on the acquisition. Imagine how many more looms or posts you have to make on LinkedIn to close 5 new clients, how much more complex your agency becomes with 5 new clients versus just working on the clients you have and keeping those and making $100K from a single client the way we've done it in 8 months. So that's some food for thought. That's why I think service delivery is so important. And there are some issues with the service delivery taught by gurus back in 2022. First of all, it's all about the media buying. So if you search up an SMMA service delivery guide right now on YouTube, you open it from, Jordan Platt or Iman Gadzhi, any of these guys, it's 90% about the technical media buying, how to set up the ad account, how to set up tracking, how to do the targeting, how to do like copy testing. But only 10% of the video is about the actual creatives you use in the ads. So the image or the video you produce to actually use in the ads. And it's so weird to me because 80% of the results will come from those creatives. So you can have amazing creatives and shitty media buying and it will work out. You will deliver great results, but you can have amazing media buying. You can do everything exactly how you should in the ads manager, but have shitty creatives and it's never going to work out because the creatives are so much more important than the media buying when doing paid ads for your clients. I'm getting a bit worked up here because it's such a hot topic for me. But that's like the core thing you have to understand here. You should spend 80% of your time making the creatives, doing market research, finding the best angles, developing the best, statics or videos. And then the media buying should be an afterthought. It should be like the last thing you do. Like me with this YouTube video, I spend my time scripting out this YouTube video. I spend my time recording it and then actually posting it to YouTube, writing the title. Title is also important, but point is going on YouTube and actually clicking post and uploading. That's like the last step of the process. It's not where I spend 90% of my time. I spend 90% of my time actually making the creative. In this case, it's this YouTube video, but for you, that is going to be the creative you use in the ads. And the way you develop those creatives, this is such a broad topic, I'll try to summarize it as quickly as possible, is that you start with some fundamental research. So you have to deep dive into the market. We have a creative strategy one-pager we use at my own agency. If you want access to it, DM me on Instagram. I'll send you our template. You can just use it for free, like no charge, nothing, not expecting anything from you. So you fill that out. It gives you, social listening. Social listening is basically going on different forums, going in the reviews, understanding exactly how the actual customers talk about the product that you'll be advertising. You go through any form of research the brand owner already has. Sometimes they've already done market research. You jump into the USPs. Oh, my bad. You do as much research as possible on the product to understand exactly what the product is, exactly what pain points it tackles, and exactly for which kind of audience. So you have to know what the product is, what it does, and for who. And you have to understand that deeply. Not just, I have a weight loss pill that helps overweight people go down in weight. No, that's too shallow. You have to go deeper. It should be, we have a weight loss pill that helps middle-aged men who want to spend more time with their kids being active, go down in weight. That's an amazing angle. So you have middle-aged men, they're overweight. I was about to say oversized. They're overweight. They have kids. They want to be active with those kids. They want to go out and play baseball or play soccer, whatever, with those kids, but they're not able to because they have this extra weight that they have. And your pill helps them with that. So that would be like an amazing angle to use because remember, in marketing, there is always a deeper reason than, the shallow reason why someone buys a product. So I just, for example, ordered Hears, which is like a hearing protection thing. You put it in your ears and it kind of blocks out the sounds. And like fundamentally, I don't care about blocking out the sounds. I care about the deep work it will give me. I care about the second degree effect of using that product. Same with the weight loss pills. Nobody actually wants to go down in weight. Nobody cares about going down in weight. They care about feeling better or waking up less groggy or spending time with their kids. All of these reasons that are byproducts of using the product, but those are the core, purchase reasons you should be targeting in your ads, not actually what the product does for you, because nobody actually cares about that. Same with like spending money, last example. Same with spending money. Nobody cares about saving money, like having more dollars in their bank account. It has no value to people. What people want is to be able to buy the cool car or feel financially free or provide for their family. All of these reasons that they're not actually just having more dollars in the bank account. So I hope that explains my points. You start by doing that fundamental research. You find out exactly why people buy the product you're advertising. And then you begin developing different statics to actually communicate that point. So there are two layers to a creative. You have this fundamental angle, and then you have I'm forgetting the word now, but basically the way you present that angle. So let's use the saving money as an example. So we figured out that the core reason people want to save money is because they want to provide for their family. Let's say it's an app, for example, we're advertising for. You can have one ad that says like before and after. So before using this app, you're feeling uncertain. Your family isn't able to confidently know that they will have food in a week. You always stress out about not having enough money. And then after using the app, your life is much better. You have complete control. You know exactly where to save, where you can spend, like this very clear comparison of before and after using the product. You can have an us versus them ad. So comparing your product to a competitor, or the way they're doing it right now, which could be like through spreadsheets or whatever. You can have a USP call out where you just have the product in the middle and then you have different USPs. That's more for physical products. So let's say it's a weight loss pill. So it has no byproducts. It has no bad effects. It makes you go down in weight in the first 7 days, like different unique selling points that you attach to that product. So there are like tens, if not hundreds of different ways you can present each angle. And the idea here is that you found the winning angle, you found the most core angle. Next, you have to find the best way to present that angle. So that's the first batch of ads you produce for your clients. Usually we do about 10 batches, or like one batch with 10 different ways to present the angle in the beginning. It's like our onboarding batch. We launch that, we test it, and then based on those data, based on what we see working, we begin producing more creatives and iterating on the actual winning angles with the winning concepts. Concepts is the word I just remembered. So you have the angle, then you have the concept, and the concept is like the way you present the angle. So that's kind of how you should approach the creative development. You do the research, you make some hypotheses, you develop creatives for those. Once you have some data on which creatives actually work, you begin producing more statics, and then you can also begin producing videos with those specific concepts, because videos are much more difficult to produce. So you don't want to be testing with videos because it's going to be very expensive. It's going to take a lot of time. You want to test with statics, and once you have a proof of concept, you can actually begin testing with videos. Then you have the actual media buying. So this is how you produce the creatives. How do you actually distribute them? Well, keep it very, very simple. Trust Meta. This is the key here. Trust Meta, because Meta has spent billions and billions of dollars on developing their systems and developing their targeting. So we prefer broad in 95% of cases. If you are advertising for, let's say, some kind of financial product that's only 30 plus for some reason, yes, limit the age to 30 plus, because there's just no point in advertising to people in the lower age ranges. But other than that, everything related to like interests and their demographics, keep it broad. Allow Meta to find those pockets itself, because it's much smarter at finding purchasers than you are. By you nitpicking the algorithm, you're limiting its scope, you're limiting its abilities, and it's just going to do a worse job than if you have it on broad. So testing happens in ABOs. I hope you know what these different terms are, but basically you set the budget on the ad set level. You have one campaign that's a testing campaign. In there, you have an ad set for each new concept. So you have the angle as like the campaign. Then you have the different concepts and the different ad sets. You give each ad set a budget so that you force Meta to spend money on each concept. What would happen if you put the money on the campaign level, the budget on the campaign level? Meta would probably spend like 90% of the budget on like 2 of the 10 concepts. It would spend a tiny bit more on 2, 3, and 4, and then 5 of the concepts would just not get any spend at all. But we want to make this a fair test. We want to force Meta to spend on each concept. So we give it a budget. Depends on the target CPA of your client, but like 30, 40 bucks a day per ad set is a good place to start. You let it run until it has spent 3 times the desired CPA, which should happen in 3 to 4 days. You see what's working, you see what's not. If it's just completely not generating any results, you turn it off. If it's generating purchasers, but it's not exactly at the ROAS you want it at, but it's looking okay, you can keep testing it. While with the ads that are performing well, that are winners, you take those ads, you keep them running in the testing campaign. This is very important because people like turning stuff off and then transitioning to a scaling campaign, but you're just cutting the legs off your creatives and just making Meta's job more difficult. So keep it running in the testing campaign, but at the same time also launch it in a win stack in a scaling campaign. So you make a new scaling campaign. In there, you have an ad set where you dump all the winners and you keep it running in the testing. You launch it in the scaling using the post ID. Once it dies out in the testing, you can turn it off and then just keep it running in scaling. And with time, you'll have 5, 10, 15 different winners in those winner stacks. And in there, you want Meta to decide which one gets the actual budget. It should be like this battle royale type thing where you just give it a budget. Let's say it's you scale it with time, but $500, $600, $1,000 a day, and then Meta spends it on whatever it thinks will generate the results. So that's like the core way to test ads. Of course, there are like more technical stuff you can do, but just keep it simple. Test in ABOs, scale in CBOs, keep stuff running in the testing campaigns, and just focus on the creatives. That's where you will see the best results. So how do you actually transition? It's been a lot of talking from my side. Let me give you some quick bullet points for what you should do when you close this video. First of all, stop doing cold outreach if you are doing, like cold emails, cold calling, cold DMs, all of that bullshit. Begin doing warm outreach and begin building your personal brand on LinkedIn. Register the account today. Begin posting today. Today's a Wednesday, so you would be posting a value post. Just get into the habit. Don't overthink it. Yes, you can spend a week researching copywriting and how to write the best, posts for LinkedIn, setting up your profile, making the banner. Just begin posting today. All of that stuff will come. Don't overthink it. And next, in the actual service delivery, stop focusing on the media buying and start focusing on the creative strategy. Develop a proper system for doing research once you sign new clients, and develop a proper system for testing creatives weekly, iterating on them, and scaling your campaigns in a very simple ABO, CBO setup. That's it from me. Again, if you want my help scaling your agency, reach out to me on Instagram. The link will be down in the description. Have an amazing day, and thank you for watching.